Everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Good evening. I'm not sure where you are in the United States or even in the world. Where I am right now, it's cold. Let me shut my phone off. I'll put it on silent. It's really, really cold where I'm at. New York City, Staten Island to be exact. It's cold, like cold right now. Let's try this out. Hey, Google, what's the weather right now?
Right now in New York City, it's 13 degrees and clear. Tonight, it's predicted to be 13 and clear.
I'm not sure if you heard that. It said it was 13 degrees. So I got myself a hot cup of coffee. Got my friends and family right here on Get Vocal on Facebook. We're going to have a nice conversation tonight. Also, you may not be watching live right now, but you probably are listening on the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate you. My name is Dre. You're listening to Rap with Dre on the Two-Getherness podcast. I am your host, Dre. Welcome to the podcast. I appreciate you so much for listening, for watching, for being here every week. Sonia, I see you're on. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody that logged in just now on Facebook, I see you all. Thank you so much. We're going to get into a nice conversation about attachments. What's going on, Drew? Thank you so much for coming in on Get Vocal. If you're watching on YouTube, I appreciate you guys so much. I've been doing this now for 10 straight weeks. This is the 10th episode, and I appreciate you so much for watching. I appreciate your support. Get Vocal is a very amazing platform, which allows me to stream live on Get Vocal on Facebook and on YouTube. Hey, Luce, what's going on? Hey, we have to talk this week or next week, so let's get together and have that conversation. But yeah, man, this is amazing, and I'm so happy for the opportunity to be able to do this every week with you guys and you listening, having conversations with me, joining in on the topic and the conversation on Facebook, on Get Vocal. I appreciate this. I don't pretend to be a love guru or a marriage expert or anything like that. I'm a guy who failed miserably in his marriage, wish he had help, went and got his master's in marriage and family counseling so that I can help people that was in a similar situation that I was in order to help their marriages grow, blossom, and live together in unity. And I have this service, counseling and coaching service for married couples and families called Two-Getherness Coaching. You can get more information on that at www.twogethernesscoaching.com. Togetherness is spelled Two Getherness. So, it's sort of like a play on words, just Two-Getherness. And that's what we're all about. That's what I really want to help people with. Marriage isn't easy. Navigating relationships is not easy. And sometimes we go through it on our own. We make a lot of mistakes. Maybe some mistakes that I made, you may learn from. You may have made some mistakes that I can learn from. And we can navigate through life, relationships, and marriage together. So thank you guys so much for being a part of the conversation. Joining in, Chris, I see you. Robin, I see you. Judy and Jeff, my people from Zion, I see you. Christopher, thank you so much for watching. Paulette, Christina, Leon, Pedro, Anthony, what's going on? Let's get into the conversation. Before we do that, Robin, a couple of housekeeping issues, okay? If you would like to connect with me on social media, you can do so on Instagram by going to @Andre_D_Harrison. You can hit me up on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter @Andre D. Harrison, all one word, Andre D. Harrison. On Facebook @the.andre.d.harrison. They had to put the "the" there because there was another Andre D. Harrison on Facebook. What other Andre D. Harrison is out there? Like, I'm the only Andre D. Harrison, but apparently I'm not. I thought I was. So I had to put "the" in front of it. Not that I'm like the main one. I just couldn't find anything else to put there. Pastor Lee, how's it going? Christina, how are you? I know a thing or two about unhealthy attachments. Yeah, then I would appreciate your input in the conversation. YouTube, I have 2 YouTube channels. I have actually multiple, but the ones I use most is the vlog channel that I have with my boys, Harrison Family Vlogs. If you're on youtube.com, please search Harrison Family Vlogs. Click subscribe, click the bell next to subscribe so that you can get updated on the videos that we post. I also have Two-Getherness Marriage and Family Coaching. You can search that on YouTube also. click subscribe. You can watch these videos. That's where actually people are watching live on YouTube. You can also watch other videos, other marriage, relationship help at that YouTube channel as well. And also, if you don't have time now to watch the whole thing, you can listen. Hey, Raquel, how are you? You can listen through podcasts on all the major podcast streaming platforms out there: Spotify, Apple, Google, Anchor, a few others. So please listen. If you want, go on Spotify, listen there. Follow me there as well. And if you would like to support this podcast, help this podcast keep going, there's a couple of ways you can do that. If you have a means to support it financially, you can go on our Patreon page by going to patreon.com/Andre D. Harrison. It's all one word. To give as little as $5 a month to help this podcast keep going. But I know some of us are strapped, or we may not want to give at this time, and that's perfectly fine. Another way that you can support this show and this conversation, or these conversations, is by sharing it and telling friends about it. Just share it out, like it, love it, converse with me in the topic. And yeah, I would appreciate that also. That's another way to support the podcast. All right, now let's get started. I'm excited about this conversation. I first learned, hello, Sybil. Thank you so much for joining. I first learned about this topic in my studies. I grew up learning a little bit about attachments through trial and error. Then when I went to school and I forgot which course it was in, we talked about attachment and attachment theory. And I thought it was extremely interesting, the attachment theory. There was a book by, you guys are not going to believe this. You know how things just go bad? I got this book, and so my Kindle, I have my Kindle right here. I had it on my front screen, and now it's gone, but I get to open up the app the old-fashioned way. There's this book called Attached by Dr. Amir Levine, and he talks about three attachment styles. Before we go into that, this show is just going to be a conversation about unhealthy attachments and how to avoid them, how to avoid unhealthy attachments. We've all been there. We've all gotten involved in relationships with wrong people. We've become attached to wrong people. And sometimes those attachments are by default. If I may be honest, if you guys don't mind me being honest on Facebook, on Get Vocal, on wherever you're watching, let's be honest. Sometimes we are even born in situations where unhealthy attachments are sort of like automatic, like unhealthy attachments are formed from the very beginning. Hopefully, we can start the conversation and continue the conversation, whether it's here on the podcast or with you and your friends, about attachment, because attachment is a very important thing when it comes to relationships, not just intimate relationships with somebody that you would like to be with, but with everybody. Everybody has an attachment style. And according to Dr. Levine, there's three types of attachment styles. There's actually more, but for the sake of the show and for the sake of how deep this topic is, we're going to stick with just three. Keep it 100, which I know absolutely, Sonia. Keep it 100. I try to be as sweet as I can, but I will be absolutely real. Attachments. There are three types of attachments. The first one is anxious. Some of us have an anxious attachment style. Others have a secure attachment style, which is what we should all strive to be, have secure attachment styles. The last one is avoidant attachment styles. We avoid attachments. Now, this is a very deep topic, a lot to unpack. We probably won't get into the whole thing today, which is good. My goal through this conversation today is to get you guys thinking about this, talking with your spouses about it, talking with your family about it. Hopes to help you guys navigate through the type of attachment style you have and how to build healthy attachments going forward. God created human beings to live in community with one another. We all strive to be in some sort of community. We all strive to be a part of something, right? And that's not a bad thing. In fact, that falls under the line of dependency. We look at dependency as like a curse word. Like, I don't want to be dependent on anybody. I need to be dependent. I need to rely on myself because I can't rely on others. That is a clear indication that somebody may be battling with an avoidant attachment style. We were created to be dependent on one another. The reason why we become independent is because we feel like people have disappointed us so much that we can't rely on them. But we have to be able to be dependent on people that we can have and form healthy attachments with. But we were created to be in community. Generally, people feel safer, more secured, and loved when they have connections with people. Connections with people is a feeling, something that we have that's sort of like inbred in us. And in fact, if you look at created species, period, most species live in community with one another. One of my favorite animals, favorite animals is the wolf. The wolf is, Shanita wrote, we should be interdependent. Yeah, absolutely. But that's deep. And we'll unpack that also. We'll unpack that also. The wolf probably has the ability to hunt on its own, and even live on its own. But what they do is they live in a pack, they live in a community, they work together. There's sort of like a hierarchy, but in essence, they work together to accomplish all their goals, right? That's what a community is. That's what a community is. And strong communities start with the development of strong families. Strong families start with the development of two strong adults looking to make a strong commitment to one another. Okay? Build a strong relationship, strong marriage. I believe firmly that strong marriages build strong families. Strong families develop strong communities. Okay? Now let's talk about attachment. Okay? We develop attachments with people we want intimate relationships with, but we fail in identifying what healthy attachments are. A lot of times we develop our attachment style based on prior experiences, things that we've gone through, hurts, successful relationships, relationships with our parents, family members, even teachers and adults in our life. Even with our siblings, we develop attachment styles, and we grow up developing that very same attachment style. Now, for those who are considered the avoidant attachment style, no, let's stop there. Let's go with the anxious attachment style. Okay. Hey, Patricia, how's it going? Let's go with the attachment style of people who are anxious, or an anxious attachment style. People who have an anxious attachment style, they desire close relationships because of the fear of being alone. All right. You fear your partner not wanting to be as close to you as you are to them. Okay. Then there's the avoidant. Person with the avoidant attachment style, it sort of looks like this. They desire independence. They want their way. They want things to happen the way they want it to happen, right? They may want momentary connections, but when things get too serious, they will move themselves or cause themselves to become undesirable. They may even sabotage the relationship so that you make the decision to bounce. Oh, yeah, Pastor Lee, let's do it. I would love to meet up for coffee. So let's get together and let's meet up. Thanks, Pastor Lee. My treat. All right. So they feel uncomfortable with closeness. And I'm pretty sure some of you guys, as I say this, thinking about somebody that you know that's just like this. Like you may have been in a relationship where you've gotten very close to somebody and they just all of a sudden pulled away. Like things got too hot. Like things got too real. And I can't deal with this anymore. And in fact, the most toxic relationships happen between people who have an anxious relationship style and those that have an avoidant attachment style. For instance, somebody who's anxious is afraid of somebody not being close to them, where somebody who's avoidant don't want people close to them. That creates a toxic relationship. And you have to understand the type of relationship style that you are and the type of relationship style the person you're with or want to be with is. Now, the last one I'm going to talk about, the third one, and this actually 4, but for the sake of time, I'm only going to talk about 3, is the secure relationship style. This person is warm and loving. They do not need to be in a relationship because they are happy within themselves, but they desire intimate relationships with somebody, but they don't rely on it. Okay. This is where interdependence come in, Shanita. So the person who is more secure can be interdependent. They're able to be by themselves because they're happy within their own space, but they also value community, closeness with the people that are close with them. This is the style that we all should be in. This is the style that I should be, you should be. Two secure people in a relationship develop a secure base. All right. Insecurity is one of those things that make us all scared. And relationships in itself is scary. It's scary. And that's why I like this book. And if you've never heard of this book or you don't have this book, I highly recommend it. It's called Attached by Dr. Levine, Amir Levine. Very, very good book. In fact, when I read this book, I saw myself in a lot of these things. And when I started this book, I found that my relationship style was avoidant. That happened because of the experience I had with my divorce, and a little bit of the relationships I had with women in my life in the past, my mother, grandmother, sister. I developed sort of like an avoidant attachment style because I didn't trust. I felt safer on my own. I didn't want to allow people to get too close to me because of my bad experiences, and I had to unpack that to be able to move on from being avoidant. Now, people who are avoidant, this is like many times, many cases, this is like the player out there that the guy who just can't commit or won't commit because they avoid that kind of relationship. They don't want to get too close with anybody. And sometimes we are not that secure in ourselves and we lean more toward the anxious style, right? And then we get in a relationship with somebody who's avoidant. A lot of times people who are avoidant come off like they're secure. They come off like they're secure because they show that they don't need anybody. They don't need to be around people. So they come off secure, but really underneath, they have an avoidant attachment style. They don't want to be too close to people. Oh, thank you, Shanita. I appreciate that. And yeah, and you actually probably seen that within myself firsthand. So I know you see me unpack that in my life. So I appreciate that input, Shanita. Yeah, this person doesn't. They seem like they're secure because they're independent. The reason why they're independent is because they avoid closeness with people. They like to move in their own space, in their own time. They don't want to be close with anybody. Or if they are close with people, it's because there's an ulterior motive there. You have something that they want. So they are going to use you to get what they want. And once they have it, they're going to bounce. It's like, all right, I got whatever I wanted. Peace. Sounds like the modern hookup culture. Yeah, it's very, very true, Patricia, where people want sex for the heck of it with no emotional attachments. I think the problem with that, and that's a whole nother conversation, Patricia, and you know what? That's going to be a show. We moved from being a society where sex is supposed to be shared intimately with people who are committed with one another to sex being a recreational activity among consenting adults. And that's where we create attachments. We create attachments through even sex. And and I'll give you an example. Two consenting adults, young adults or old adults, get into a situationship where they're not really committed. Hey, Marilyn, how's everything in Trinidad? They're not really committed to one another, but they developed a sexual relationship, right? They may have even arranged where, and I don't, me personally, I wouldn't subscribe to this and I wouldn't recommend this either, but they may have even agreed to say, we're just going to have a sexual relationship. That's it. What tends to happen more often than not is, hey, what's going on, Richmond? How's everything going, brother? One person will start catching feelings. And usually it's going to be the person who has the anxious attachment style. And they're getting attached to somebody who's avoidant. Somebody's heart's going to be broken. And then that person who is anxious will soon become an avoidant attachment style person. Right? It's very dangerous, very dangerous. But we have to be able to recognize those things and not get fooled. So the person who is avoidant will use people to get what they want. And once they're done, they leave. And you know that this person is okay with leaving because they don't care about connections that well. And this person, though, no matter what your relationship style is now, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be that way forever. And that's a beautiful thing about this. All right. With counseling, with developing right relationships, with creating healthy attachments with people, you find yourself moving toward a more secure attachment style, which is where we want to be. The person who has the insecure has gone through a lot. They have gone through a lot. And usually the insecure person will become the avoidant person because of their experiences. The person with or anxious, insecure, anxious. The person with the anxious style is needy. They don't like to be alone. And you see this even with your friends. Some of you have friends who just have to hear from you several times out of the day to the point where you're like, okay, we literally just spoke 15 minutes ago. Can I have like some time to me? Like, can I eat something real quick? You know, I just used let's say you're in the bathroom and the phone rings and you can't get to it. And then you see it's your friend and they call you back. Hey, what were you doing? Why you ignoring my phone calls? Wait a second. Chill. I was really doing my business in the bathroom. Like, what's going on? Can I have a minute to myself? That person has an anxious attachment style. They want to be around people because they're afraid to be alone. They're afraid to be alone. They don't have security in themselves. Yeah, Patricia, let me breathe. Like, can I have a moment? Can I chill? Just let me breathe for a hot second, right? And usually this is a person who didn't have strong attachments growing up, or they're used to seeing people in and out of their lives, so they're afraid of having people come and go from their life, right? It's like a child, right? Children don't grow up, or they're not born with healthy attachment styles. They're not born with secure attachment styles. That's why when a baby is in a room, right, with their mom or with their dad, and mom and dad leaves, the baby's going to cry, especially if they're in an unfamiliar place. They're going to cry. There was experiments done in the book. I recommend this book, Attached by Dr. Emile Levine. In the book, they did social experiments with children who had developed particular attachment styles. There were people who were in foster care. There were people who had loving mothers and fathers. There were people who were adopted. And they did studies on, and not like they didn't do experiments. They studied them and did research on how they've come to have the attachment style that they had. And they went back into their past to figure this out. And this is an actual science. This isn't something that somebody just came up with and was like, hey, here are attachment styles. This is an actual science. And I'm still studying this so that I can learn it, so I can help people better, so I can help myself better. Right? This baby, the baby would leave, the mom will leave, and the baby will begin to cry. And what they found was after several times of this happening, mom will come back, right? The baby will begin to be more secure, understanding that although I'm here, my mom left the room, they will be back, and I'm okay. I'm okay. Okay. You'll notice how babies would situate themselves in a room with their parents. Some would face their parents, and then there's some kids who have more of a secure base who don't mind playing around with their back faced with the parent, even to the point where if they see mom get up or dad get up, they'll look and they'll continue playing. There's some children out there who will see their mom and dad get up and they'll start crying, chasing after mom and dad, thinking that the mom and dad is going to leave them. This is sort of like the person with the anxious attachment style. They're afraid of people leaving because they're afraid of being alone. Okay. I will say this. That person is the person that should not be in a relationship right now, because you're not securing yourself. You're going to do damage to yourself, especially if you're in a relationship with somebody who has an avoidant attachment style. And the person who has a secure attachment style won't put up with the mess. They're not going to put up with the clinginess. All right. They want mutual respect, mutual intimacy, mutual connection. And if they feel like you're overly connected because you're afraid of losing that connection, you're going to lose the connection anyway. Okay. So my recommendation for those who have an anxious attachment style is to take some time to yourself and try to develop self-resiliency so that you can live on your own in order to give yourself to somebody else. Okay. Which is developing that skill of interdependence. Right, Shanita? Yes. All right. And the last thing is secure attachment style. This person is secure in themselves. They don't need anybody to survive, but they appreciate the community and the togetherness of surviving in a community. This person can rebound quickly after a failed relationship and realize, okay, this didn't work, but I can move on and find a relationship elsewhere. Okay. Or try to make another connection that would benefit both of us. All right. Here we have the avoidant attachment style and the anxious attachment style. Both go into relationships with a very selfish mindset. It's all about me, 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 me. The avoidant is trying to get whatever they can from you. The anxious is saying, please give me everything you need because I won't survive without it. And then the secure is like, I like you. You're nice. Yeah, let me get to know you. Okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah, I like this. I like this. Oh, there's a red flag. I don't know if I can. Oh, there's another red flag. I like this. I like this, and I like this about her. But this, I don't know if I could really rock with. And you know what? This will probably create more issues with us in the future. So, I am going to say that we're not compatible, and I'm going to uh, say that we're just going to be friends. That's a secure relationship style. Now, the person who they may be trying to get close to may not have the same feeling, and if they're not secure, if they avoid it, they're going to be like, all right, whatever. I never really liked you anyway. All right. The person who is anxious will be, well, what's wrong with me? Like, what did I do? How can I fix this? But then the person who is secure would say, you know what, you're right. Maybe we're not compatible. It was a pleasure getting to know you. And hopefully we'll get together sometime in the future just to be friends. And that's where we should be in our relationship style, especially when it comes to approaching dating. We approach dating creating unhealthy attachments because we either want something from somebody or we're afraid to be alone, so we're willing to put up with anything from somebody else. Those two we got to avoid. And we have to do some self-reflection. Some of us would like to believe that we have a secure relationship style, but the truth be told, not a lot of people have that because of our experiences. We allow our experiences to shape how we view the world. And you know what? It happens. It happens. Let's take a look at, I'll give you an example, right? We live today and it's going to sound like I'm going off topic, but please, I'm not going off topic. Just bear with me. We're living in a racially charged time right now. Racially charged time. And it's not easy to be an American right now because there's a lot of division, a lot of hate rising up. The actor from Power, who I hope he recovers quickly, was assaulted just for being gay. And whether or not you agree with homosexuality, assaulting anybody, period, is wrong, right? It's wrong. Okay. I was in a situation where when I was 15, I was assaulted for being black in an all-white neighborhood. I was in the hospital for a couple of days, shattered my cheekbone. It was a tough time for me, right? And I went to a school in Staten Island called Tottenville High School. And if anyone knows New York City or Tottenville or Staten Island, Tottenville High School had a population of students that was like 85% white. So I went to pretty much an all-white school. I've been chased to the train station. I remember one night I was walking after basketball practice to the train station, and please excuse my rhetoric, hearing "get out of my neighborhood, nigga," things like that, right? So I was assaulted. Had racial slur, racially charged negative things said toward me, and I had to come up with a decision to either, or not really come up with a decision, but sort of make a conscious decision to say, I'm not going to allow that to shape how I view all white people. Period. I just won't do it. All right. The guy who assaulted me, he's an idiot. All right. Those guys who call me those racially negative terms, they're idiots. All right. But not everybody's like that. And I could have formed my opinion based on my experiences, right? But I didn't. My experience is my experience. Many times it's isolated. Not everybody is a racist. Not everybody is a racist, and everybody's not a racist. Okay. So when we look at attachments, we have our experience, right? Failed relationships, hurt, we've been cheated on, physically abused, assaulted, sexually assaulted, all those things, all those experiences cause us to fall into one of those three attachment styles. And our goal is to be more secure and develop a secure attachment style. That comes through counseling, through unpacking your experiences, not grouping everybody into one group because of somebody in that group doing something negative towards you. And it's hard. It's not easy. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of reflection. It takes a lot of, it's just not easy to do, but it's possible. It is possible. Those who are afraid to get too close to somebody, they're able to become more secure in themselves, to be able to share a mutual loving experience with somebody. And those who are anxious could develop the resiliency to be able to love somebody and receive love and not be dependent on that, because people who are anxious would create their identity solely based on what the other person thinks of them. Shanita wrote, we are a product of our life's experiences. Very true. We're very much a product of our life experiences. But we have to look at our experiences and learn from it and grow from it. Despite your relationship style, whether you are avoidant, whether you are anxious or secure, try to grow in every single experience that you share. All right. We've all been hurt before. True story. My first heartbreak came when I was like 14 years old. 14 years old. I thought I was in love. I was in love. You couldn't tell me nothing. Couldn't tell me anything. I was in love. My heart was broken after we broke up. Like broken. Like I didn't know how to pick up the pieces. I was crying. My boys was trying to console me. My 14, 15-year-old friends were trying to console your boy. Like they were just trying to help me out. Andre, man, like I know she broke your heart, but you got to pick up the pieces and move on. I was 14, right? And I had several heartbreaks, right? One heartbreak was I had a girl actually break up with me because I wasn't thug enough for her. True story, kid you not. I wasn't thug. I wasn't a thug growing up. Broke up with me because I wasn't thug enough for her. And everybody has their preference. I wasn't a thug, would never be, never tried to be, right? And I had a few heartbreaks growing up. And after I was married and my ex-wife left and got a divorce, that was sort of like, that wasn't like the straw that broke the camel's back, because that was a pretty big thing. But I struggled with avoidant attachments. I struggled with trust. And I was not in a place to really be in a relationship. As a result, after my marriage, I had a couple failed relationships because I just wasn't ready to be in one. You know what helped me out? Me going through this master's course and understanding what it means to be in a relationship, to be married, my attachment style. And I was able to grow through that. I went through counseling and I have come to a little bit more of a secure place now, where I feel I'm not perfect, but I feel like I would be beneficial to somebody as they would be beneficial to me, right? And that's where we all desire to be. And even though our experiences do shape our view and perception of things, when it comes to relationships, we have to look at relationships as, especially in the very beginning. And this is why I always stress going into relationships extremely slow, be friends first, let it flow, and then develop compatibility first before you step into creating a strong attachment with somebody. Attachment, when something is attached, when you pull it apart, it hurts. It hurts. That's why when you create attachment with somebody, you have to make sure that they're worth being attached to. Shanita wrote on Facebook, Every man I know has a love story that went bad when they were like 12. And she put laughing face emojis. Women recover faster than this. My father-in-law told me about a story when he was in the 7th grade, and he is 67. Wow. So that stuck with him, right? Yeah. And that experience shaped him. It never left him, and it never left me. But I guess what I'm saying is we have to try to learn from those experiences and grow from it. Okay. Part of avoiding unhealthy attachments is learning what type of attachment style that you have. If you have an avoidant attachment style, do not get attached to anybody right now. If you have an anxious attachment style, do not get attached to anybody, especially somebody who's avoidant, because that is toxic. Out of all the relationship styles to get together, the avoidant and the anxious, well, it just would be bad. You don't want two anxious people together because that's bad too. You don't want two avoidant people together because that you never really develop the togetherness in a relationship. Our goal is to develop relationships with somebody who is secure as we become more secure. All right. If you guys have any questions, any comments, please, by all means, talk with me because I like to engage in the conversations. I appreciate your input, Shanita. Very true and very, very real. I really appreciate it. Okay. Doing this will help you navigate the relationships much, much, much better. We go into relationships looking to see what we can get. Who can make us happy? Somebody who's secure, they desire happiness, but they know that they don't need to be in a relationship to be happy. They would like to create a happy relationship. And there's a difference. We should not look to be happy because of a relationship. However, we can seek to make our relationship happy. Luz writes, what do you do when you get attached to someone and your attachment is broken by circumstances and not either of you chose? Do you maintain the attachment or do you let it go, so to speak? And that's a tough one, and that's depending on the situation that caused, or the circumstance that caused that attachment to be broken. Okay, there's a lot of things that could have happened: infidelity, abuse, incarceration, disconnection, lack of time, love loss. So there's a couple of things that could have happened that would cause that attachment. If the attachment is broken, then that's a great time for you to step back and say, okay, who am I right now? What's my attachment style right now? Is this a healthy situation for me to be in? If not, and I made an attachment such as marriage, all right, what do I need to do right now to fix myself in order to fix my marriage? Sometimes we have to work on ourselves in order to work on our marriage. I think I shared this before, and everybody knows the analogy about substance abuse that led to incarceration. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm gonna get to that. Where on a plane, they tell the adults, before you put the mask on your child, put it on yourself first so that you are well enough to save your child. Some of us want to be able to save our marriages because we're in a very tough, volatile situation. And we would need to work on ourselves to make that happen. But that situation, substance abuse that led to incarceration. Substance abuse is a heavy thing to deal with in a relationship, especially if you're the spouse of somebody who is using. It's tough because addiction is a killer, not just of people, but of relationships, of trust. And I didn't want to say that I was the one that told you that I said that to you, but yeah, there's a lot of help out there when it comes to people who are in relationships, and one of the people in the relationships are users of substance. There's a lot of help out there. A lot of times we can't identify where that help is. If you're in a situation where you're dating somebody who's a user, who's abusing drugs, or using drugs, who is addicted to drugs, alcohol, whatever it is, and it's causing a strain in your marriage, forget that. even if it's not causing a straining a marriage and they're addicted to substance abuse, hit me up, shoot me a message, and I will do some research for you and get you the help that you need to help see you heal through this, see your spouse heal through this, and also see your relationship get stronger together through this. My throat is killing me. Yeah. And you know what happens in that situation? Usually the person who is the user becomes avoidant, and the person who is attached to somebody who is a user becomes anxious because they're unsure about where the relationship is going. Those people should not just tear off the attachment, especially if they're married. They should go to couples counseling, marriage counseling, and work through those problems together. That's TWO-gether. I'm going to keep pumping that until they're able to get to a place where they've moved on and could heal from their situation. Yeah. Any other questions? I like this. I'm using my, can you see that? It's pretty, this is my coffee mug. Thank you, Patricia. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. You know what? It's one of those things where I wish that I knew this then. It's like I wish I knew now. I wish I knew then what I know now. A lot of things, my experiences, and sometimes we're young, we're dumb, we think we know it all. We don't listen to anybody, or don't want the help, or don't know where to go for the help, and it causes us to be put ourselves in very bad situations that we'll regret. Should I have known he was on something? I have no prior experience with the signs of a substance abuser. Some substance abusers are functioning substance abusers. It's hard to know. Usually, probably something happened in your marriage that would help you identify those things, or it could identify something else. Some people become detached because they're using, because they are addicted to drugs, and we may think that it's because they don't love me no more. No, it's not that they don't love you anymore. They just been so consumed with this chemical that has robbed every piece of them that they don't know how to show love to you, and they need to kick this habit. They need to kick this addiction in order to heal and come back to the relationship. So it's hard to know the signs. It's hard to know the signs. But if you feel like, if you're in a relationship with somebody and you feel a disconnection growing, be proactive in trying to find a way to identify what that is in your relationship. Don't, and I would recommend also, don't get defensive. Don't ask, well, what's wrong with you? Why don't you love me anymore? In those times, you be more compassionate, more loving. Let them feel safe enough to open up to you. This way, you'll be able to identify faster what the issue is. It makes me feel like I was a bad wife for not knowing. And that's the thing about those of us who are connected to people who have addictions, or who are attached to people who have addictions. We blame ourselves for not recognizing the signs. Some people are functioning addicts. They're able to function throughout life the same way until things get too bad. It's hard to identify those signs, especially if they're acting as normal as they can. And then all of a sudden you get a call that your loved one overdosed. Just try to spend as much time with them as you can. And when you do hear about it, do everything you can to get them the help that they need. Get them the help that they need. And there's so many now with the opioid crisis. There's so many agencies doing things to help with addiction. Churches have band together to help with addiction. There's a lot of things out there to help with this. We just got to be able to attach to be able to access those resources. And again, I'm making myself available to everybody that's watching this. If you are in a situation like this, please send me a message in the inbox. I will do some research. Tell me what city you live in, and I'll try to help you find the help that you need to get over this. All right. But now, unhealthy attachments. Where do you go from here? Where do you go from here? For you to create a secure base, for you to develop a secure relationship style in yourself, Sometimes you have to take a break from relationships altogether. Take a break from being in a relationship altogether and identify who you are. Find yourself, develop self-love, okay? Connect with God, pray, seek your identity in Him, and then allow yourself to grow from there in order to develop a more secure relationship style, especially if you've been through hurt, if you don't like to connect with people, or you feel like if you're not around people, you can't survive. Because then you're no good to anybody, and you'll become like, I hate to say it like this, but the truth of the matter is you become more of a burden than a blessing to anybody else, especially if you have an anxious relationship style. Okay. All right. I do want to thank everybody for listening, for watching. If you're listening on the podcast, I appreciate you guys so much. Listen, you guys make this easy for me to be able to come and do this because the conversations we have, the questions you ask, people don't get vocal on Facebook, on YouTube. I thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys. I'm going to end it here. I'm going to get my son. True story. Like this actually just happened. My son did his homework. My 11-year-old, and he's in his room the whole time. Does not come out. He knows every Thursday I'm in my like dining room, kitchen area. This is where I do the setup. Next week, I'll probably be doing it from my room because I'm fixing everything up. And I asked him earlier, and I had dinner ready at like 4 o'clock. You want to come out and eat? He said, no, I'll eat later. Okay, I have the show. He said, okay. Patricia asked, am I a counselor too? Yes, I am a marriage and family counselor as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, in addition to me being a teacher during the day. So he comes out at like 8 o'clock, right before I'm about to start this show. Coming to eat. I'm like, boy, get back in that room. I gave you like 4 hours to come out and eat, and now you want to come out and eat. He's probably listening right now, laughing. Yeah, so I need to get him dinner before he goes to bed because his bedtime is at 9 o'clock. But I do thank you guys so much for watching, for being here with me, for listening on the podcast, for the questions you asked. Have a good night, cuz. I really want to get to Trinidad soon and bring the boys out there to meet you guys. Lou's right. I love watching every week. It's so helpful and refreshing to have a real conversation about real issues and relationships and take a bare bones look at ourselves. Thank you for doing this weekly, man. I appreciate you watching weekly, and I hope that I can help somebody else because this helps me too. This was great. Glad you do these. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Sonia. And he wanted to make his screen debut. Every week he wants to make a screen debut, Patricia. Every single week. Recover right. Some of us eat dinner late. Good night. Good night to you also. And good night to everybody here. You're going to come to New York in May? If you come in May, please let me know. Please let me know. I would love to see you and spend some time with you. All right. We're going to call it a night. You want me to have a father and son episode? You know what? We'll do that. I know I have a few shows lined up. Maybe I'll mix it up and have him come in soon. Next Thursday, 8 p.m. Same time, same format that you're watching, whether it's on Facebook, Get Vocal, or YouTube. Please join me live. We're going to have a nice conversation next week also. We are going to skip Valentine's Day because it's Valentine's Day, and I don't want you guys watching me on Valentine's Day. You should be watching your spouses on Valentine's Day, even though this face may be good to look at, but I'd rather you watch your spouse. All right. Have a good night. Thank you so much. God bless you all. Until next week, this is Rap with Dre on the Two-Getherness podcast. Same bat channel. Precisely. Have a good night. Be safe.